The recording. Fabulous. Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar with Muriel Braun, the French astrologer who mixes both Western astrology with Eastern astrology, and she has a company called Astrology, and she is joining us today from the Gold Coast. Hello and a very warm welcome to you, Muriel.
Thank you. Hello, how are you?
Well, I'm just going to press everyone onto mute so we don't have any feedback. And sorry, I probably should have done this before I started. Actually, I think everyone's hopped off and muted themselves. That works well, making sure that I haven't muted Muriel. So I'm very excited to have you here today. It's been ages waiting for the right timing for the energy to come so that we could hold this webinar. And you had specifically chosen this month because of the really good energy. So we're going to talk about that all a little bit later. But I just thought perhaps, you know, some of these ladies know you from the Gold Coast, but there's a lot of ladies here who haven't met you before. And you might just let them know a little bit about yourself and I guess how you got into astrology in the first place.
Sure. So my name is Muriel Braun, as you know, and I've started astrology at about 5 years old. So yes, very, very young. So in my belief, it's not from this life. It must be from my previous life, obviously, depending on the beliefs. But I was already really into astrology straight up. So I did find when I did move the other day, little, cards where we used to write the phone numbers, different colors, you know, with these little squares. And I was already studying my parents and already doing their charts and looking at my family and their star signs. And very, very quickly, I realized that just to do Western astrology was not enough for me, was not precise enough. So I kept on going and learned all around the world different things, from Western astrology, obviously, to Chinese astrology, numerology. I mix and match a lot of things, elements. I actually mix and match 7 supports to get a reading right. So I quite like to be precise. It is a big responsibility to influence someone. So even though I've always learned astrology and traveled the world and was always learning with some masters, it took me a while to actually do that full time until it was my clients, or I should say all my guinea pigs, all my friends, you know, around that actually pushed me and said, now you have to do it full time. And we will always send clients to you, which is the truth. I'm always fully booked 3 or 4 months in advance. So yes, the formula I've put together really does work. And that's what I'm really happy about, is helping people. That's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, and I think the interesting part is that, you know, I've seen someone who does Eastern astrology or Chinese astrology, and then, you know, people who see Western astrology. But you've actually, when you've married the two, the information that comes through, it's kind of like you've got this entire safety net of, you know, well, this, and the next thing. It's fascinating.
Yes, because in fact, everything is energy. So if you start combining everything together, plus the fact that I'm also more and more psychic, when everything is combined together, you pretty much are right on whatever is happening. But it took me a while to make sure that that formula was perfect and that everything was working together to have the results that I do have now, obviously, with my clients.
And when we were trying to figure out dates to have you speak, it was many months ago, and we've been waiting very patiently for August and very patiently for after the middle of August. Could you please explain to our beautiful ladies what's so exciting about that?
Yes. So we are, especially this week, we are going through something that is absolutely amazing. We call that a party or a bridge in the heavens with the stars all together. So I'm just going to take that. I've got my little notes because I've got so much to say. But yes, so this week you've got a lot of planets that are together. We actually have Mercury, Mars, Venus, the new moon, the sun. So there's at least 5. But it's not just that, in fact. we've got Saturn, that is the planet of longevity. We've got Pluto, that is the planet of transformation, which are in Capricorn. And we also have Uranus, which is the planet that actually is linked with the 7-year cycles, that has also moved in Taurus. And why is this week so important is, in fact, it is more than just the bridge of what's happening now and planting the seeds and the best stars of 2019. It's also the bridge that is going to link us with next year, because on the 2nd of December, the planet of luck, the queen that I call her the queen Jupiter, which is the biggest planet and is linked with luck and moving forwards and giving you, the direction to where you want to go, expansion, I should say, is actually going to be on the 2nd of December. It's also going to be moving in an earth sign in Capricorn. So in fact, whatever is happening now, whatever you are planting now and creating is actually going to take you all in 2020. So you couldn't find better than this week to do that webinar, because it's just absolutely pure gold. Yes.
It's very exciting, especially for people who are wanting to launch new products or wanting to grow their business, or wanting to orchestrate new change in their life that then is fully supported by the universe.
Absolutely. And it could be linked with health. It could be linked with relationship. It could be linked with talking, because even Mercury is in its own sign where it is in Virgo. So anything to do with healing, with communication, with starting a program, with working, because I mean, it is in Virgo. So it's being organized and writing things down. Anything that can be in solving problems, launching something that is going to take you to the long run, and really being linked with the long term, because the aspects that we do have with Saturn and Pluto are actually long term. So it's actually stability and long term, and almost, I should even say, taking you to the next 7 years, because really technically with Uranus just being at the right time, at the right place, in fact, it's really what it is. I mean, because Jupiter is going to be clicking just at the right time at the end of the year. So it's really kind of, and Uranus is already in Taurus. So it's really going to take you in the next 7 years. Whatever you are planting now is actually extremely important and can be very, very beneficial until the end of your life.
To the end of your life?
Yes, because when you have things like that, 7 years is a very long time. So if you've got something that is going to be in sync and protected for the next 7 years, it is a long time, in a part of your life. 1 year, okay, 2 years, but 7 years actually makes a big difference. It's a big impact into someone's life, so you can actually take that turnaround and say, okay, well, this is the life I want to create for myself, because a new moon is always a time where you plant the seeds. That's what the oldest used to do. They used to be on time. They used to be really well organized. That's actually a little bit the problem that we do have now, is that we are not in sync with the stars like we used to be. And it is very important to be in sync. Women before used to be so much in sync that they used to be the red dance, They used to have their periods together. They used to look after each other during these 3 or 4 days. People used to be really aware of the energies in the stars, and would start things when things were the right time. Astrology has always existed, and then humanity kind of stopped, following them. And then things suddenly started to be complicated, because if you do things at the right time, you're actually surfing with the energy of the universe instead of swimming against the tide. For example, if someone was starting a project or doing something, signing a contract or a relationship, when Mercury is retrograde, that is never going to take them where they want to go. It's actually going to bring them backwards and create problems into their lives, which sometimes end up in court. And people are like, it's like glue. I need to get rid of that situation, and then just cannot, because it was done at the wrong time. So it's actually taking them backwards into their lives, but not forwards. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, that period of time, but that period of time would be to go back to the past, to go back to return to things, to reassess things, to finish things, but not to start something new. So if people were always following the stars, when there are good times, their lives will start becoming, much, much easier. And that's what I do with my clients, making things easy, multiplying money. When I do my retreats, the stars are always magical. So at the end of the retreat, I've got my clients saying, oh, we want you to do another retreat. And they're already signing up, which sometimes I don't even know if I'm going to do another one, and already saying, oh, here are the deposits, you are creating another one because it was just magical. So that you can create all the time, because then you've got the energy of the universe taking you where you need to go. So it's amazing.
You've just, sorry to interrupt. You've just mentioned about your retreat, and you've got one in Bali in September, and I couldn't make that one. And then I thought, oh, this is going to be terrible. I'm going to miss out, and that FOMO. And then you posted one in Numia, and you're French, so you can speak French and the language. And we're going to be doing that in January. And I'm like, oh my Lord, this is me. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing at the retreat, but I know that I'm in, looking from the beginning of 2020. So it's very exciting, actually. And to know, and, and of course, my daughter's booked into your children's retreat in December. So we're going to have a bit of, 2 months of holidays with you, Muriel.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. So so I've got I've got the dates here. So there's one in Bali. I can still take one person or two. I actually had the place where we're going to be doing it in Sanur. And I was just talking with him, and he said, look, if you want to take a couple more, you can still, we can have an extra room, but I'm going to shut it down this week, simply after that, because I have my own chef over there, and cooking, vegan, organic food. She needs to organize all that, plus transportation. So I'm going to stop the numbers this week. I will have to. And so it's going to be between the 14th of September to the 22nd of September. Again, the stars are going to be absolutely magical during that time. Then we've got the kids retreat between the 16th of December to the 20th of December, and that is going to be absolutely awesome. I've got a lot of people that are going to come and do things, for the children. I always work with my brides and Lauren or other people, with crystals and healings, and obviously the point of that retreat is not only to connect with nature and respect nature and feel great in your environment. And obviously they learn about plants, they learn a lot about healing themselves, they learn so much, but also obviously about the stars, because that's what it's all about. It's also giving those children a kickstart. I mean, they will never be the same after that, because they understand the elements. They will understand when to do things and when not to do things, and who they are compatible with or not. And that's going to give them a big kickstart. I think that's the expression. But it's going to be absolutely awesome, because they will not make the same mistakes as other people, because obviously they will know who they are compatible with or not, and when is a good time or not. And then I've got the retreat in January, where the one you're coming, that is going to be in between the 19th of January to the 25th of January, which is going to be absolutely awesome as well. I just came back from Numia, New Caledonia, and it was just magical. It was just I can't explain. It was just the crystal clear water, the people, the food we're going to have, that little church where we're going to be doing all the workshops and everything. It's just going to be absolutely amazing. It's just going to be really, really nice and beautiful, and many other things that come into that with a friend of mine that does this most amazing chocolate and the pearls. I've got someone that is going to show us how to create all these beautiful things with pearls, and you get special prices and everything included. So it's going to be awesome.
So Muriel, if we have some listeners here who've never really been introduced to astrology before,
yes,
and are sitting here and wondering, how is it that, how does it work? How does it impact me? Is it real?
Yes.
Can you sit and discuss any of that with them?
Absolutely. So that is the first thing. I don't take astrology as a spiritual thing. For me, it's very much metaphysics, and I'm not saying I'm not a spiritual person, because I believe in multiple lives, and I believe in doing the right to make sure you end up having done the work that you needed to do, and evolution of the self that you needed to do. But on a very practical kind of way here. I can explain it. For example, if you see the moon, just the moon attracts thousands of liters of water. She does the tides, and we are made of 73% of water. So you will see all the hospitals full when there is a full moon, and everybody, you know, because the new moons are a good time, like we are going now in this week, to plant the seeds and to start something. But a full moon is actually the end. It's like the washing machine, you know, it's getting rid of things, you know, it's popping out and saying, okay, I've had enough of this, or I've had enough of that. So in fact, it's a good time to kind of clean up and say, okay, this is what I'm going to keep on taking into my life, and this is kind of what I'm going to get rid of. So just the moon affects us very, very strongly. And the moon in astrology is a soft energy. Yes, it's linked with emotions, but it is a soft energy. It's not a planet that is big, like Jupiter, for example, which is for me the queen, because she's going to rule depending on which sector she is into your life. She's going to protect you in different aspects of your life. And Jupiter is 40 times the size of the moon. So do you imagine the impact of Jupiter? Or for example, Mercury, which is the closest one, Mars, which is a very strong one. All these planets have actually a much stronger aspect than the moon. They actually define stronger aspects than the moon. So the moon is going to be linked with the cycles and obviously with what we feel, but it's not going to impact us as strongly as Jupiter. So you can imagine how much we are impacted by the stars. And that is something I see every day. So for me, it's not a matter, you know, of knowing if it does work or not. I actually see it to the day. Like, for example, if suddenly I say, okay, this week, you know, Mercury is moving forward, suddenly you're going to get contracts, money is going to come in. I've got all my clients, you know, and even myself, you know, texting me or saying to me, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I've been waiting, and suddenly things, boom, you just said I would be in luck this week, and I've just signed 3 contracts, you know. It is that precise all the time. If the stars are bad, for example, I'm just going to talk about something that is not very nice, but for example, we had really some strong opposition in April, and I was like, the statistics of the accidents, of the bombing, of the bad stuff, you know, the fire, whatever, are really going to rise up. And we had never got, you know, that many accidents or bombing or shooting or whatever, because that's it, you know, it is going to react obviously to the good, which is beautiful this week, thank the Lord for that. It's awesome. But yes, it can also be in a bad situation, you know, and the same with surgeries, the same with relationships, making things work or not, because I work a lot with hospitals, I work a lot in court cases, with also the system of with lawyers, with judges. They're not supposed to be taking into account, obviously, for these decisions, you know, my point of view, but I've got a lot of people that do ask me, you know, to sometimes know what's going on behind the scenes, you know, things like that, which is quite funny, but that's the way it works. I've got a lot of political people, a lot of big mentors that want to go higher with a mission, that have sometimes 1 million followers, because I do work with very high level people. So yes, I've got very, very diverse kind of clients, from the ladies that I'm helping, you know, to get out of domestic violence situations and starting their life and turning things around, to yes, very old people that need to know when to get operated and not. That is probably what is the closest to my heart, obviously, is when I save lives, because that is absolutely awesome, you know, when you're going to say and do a reading with someone, like last week, oh, it was 2 weeks ago, sorry. I went to the kids, you know, meeting, you know, with the school, you know, for to know which subject they should be following in grade 10. And there was this lady who just grabbed me and says, oh, thank you so much, you know, in the front of everyone. And, you know, and she says, oh, thank you. You told me I would have a problem with my eyes, and not to listen to my GP, but to double check it with the hospital. And you saved my life. I was doing not 1, but 2 aneurysm. And all that happening in front of her daughter, you know, and you've got the daughter, you know, hugging me and looking at me as well, and my kids being so proud as well. So you can really literally save the life, you know. Or sometimes in hospital, you know, saying the doctors sometimes give up, and you're like, no, you know, that lady, I'm thinking about Sylvia, and I said, no, she's got many years to live. And they said, well, she's 30 kilos. The heart is not going to be strong enough to go into under anesthesia. And I'm like, no, it will, because she's got so many things to do. And, you know, she bought herself a car now, and she's driving all around the Gold Coast, you know, things like that is probably what is the most amazing with the stars. So this is how precise it is, you know, it's extremely precise. It's not, so I really take it now as a science, not just as something spiritual. And it is actually recognized now more and more in different countries, India and Norway, a lot of other countries that are saying, no, it is a science, it is not something spiritual anymore.
So, Muriel, you know, most of us are familiar with our star sign, and that's gauged by when we were born, you know, the date. But there's something a little bit, it goes a little bit deeper than that. You have rising signs as well. Can you explain that to people in the most easiest to understand way?
Yes. So there are different planets with different aspects, obviously. So really, technically, what we do, well, what I do, but as other astrologists as well, when we talk about Western astrology, is that we actually take a map of where the stars were when you were born. So that frequency works actually on everything, and by the way, it's not just us as human, it's a house, it's a car. So sometimes you walk into a place and you're like, oh, I just feel good, I want to stay here forever. And another place you're like, oh, I need to get out of this place, I'm just not feeling good, you know. But it is real. I mean, it is made with an energy. So that is the first aspect of Western astrology, is knowing which energies you were born under and what you did, have when you were created and when you were born under that energy. So that is the first thing. And as I was saying, after that, I go deeper than that. So I don't look at just the planet. I look at some other aspects that I've actually mixed and matched. So it links, you know, numerology and Chinese astrology, the elements, the cycle of Jupiter. I am psychic. I also have a degree of sophrology. So, which is a little bit like NLP here. PNL or NLP, how do you say it in Australia? NLP?
NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yes. So I've got a third degree of sophrology. It's a little bit different than NLP, but I also help my clients, because sometimes I see also my clients getting stuck in some patterns, to make sure that after the reading, I can actually help them to make sure that we move on from there and that we create happiness. Because I don't just do a reading and then that's it. I like looking after my clients in the future, because I strongly believe that if people are happy and in harmony and everything is great around them, happiness is going to ripple, like when you throw, you know, a rock into a lake and it ripples and ripples and ripples. Because obviously I'm on a mission. It's not just a job. It is a mission. So I believe that, you know, if people start doing things all the time at the right time and being extremely happy, then everything is going to start being happy all around them. Then the kids are going to be happy, their partner is going to be happy, and everything starts making sense. And I think the word that comes out of my reading all the time, my client says, you gave us clarity, because it's like suddenly you see crystal clear. Everything is like, you know, when is a good time not to do something or not, when who you are compatible. It explains the relationship you've had, why it did work, why it didn't work. And from that point, you understand a lot of things, because in the readings that I do, and the way I put it, in fact, baggages, you know, baggage. Baggage that we carry in our life. In fact, we don't need them, and everything can be explained. There's no guilt as such. If it didn't work out with a person, there is a reason. If that business didn't take off, there is also a reason. So suddenly you understand why everything has happened. And it's almost like, you know, a lot of clients say it's almost like all that backpack and all these things that I was carrying, suddenly I'm free because I don't need them anymore. And at least I understand why it did happen. And then we can start a new life with good aspects and making sure that everything is done at the right time. Like this week is everything is done at the right time, you know.
So just how long is this good energy lasting?
So it is going to be lasting 2 weeks. So it's a long time. And this one, because we're already starting to feel it now, it's almost going to be 3 weeks. So it's a long time to plant the seeds. You prefer to do it straight up when it's actually happening, which is going to be on the 31st, depending on people where they are in the world. But that's when the new moon is going to be. And that's when we're going to be at the max. But you can already start, you know, to feel it coming in. It's already started. It actually started this weekend. This weekend we had an amazing aspect as well with Mars and Venus. So I'm not sure people can follow me on my group, or even with my personal profile. I give for free the stars of the week every week, so people can listen to that and see how it does work, how precise it is. And yes, this weekend we already had Mars and Venus together, so very good for love, for people to be together and to sort problems out. But also it was good because it is linked with the Virgo aspect that we have. So it's also really linked with the self and finding what is good for us, and also probably aligning our feminine and masculine energy, because we do have both. You know, when we go to work, even us as women, we go and we are into that Mars, you know, masculine energy, but we still need to be aligned, you know, with our feminine. And that this weekend would have been really finding that right balance between both of them, because of the Virgo aspect, which is linked with healing and finding that right balance. It would have been linked, okay, this is the life I want to create for myself, and this is how I feel good, you know. So there's a lot of things happening for the moment, which are amazing, aligning us for next year.
So if we have this good energy and the ladies are only really hearing about it right here, right now,
yes,
what would be your top tip or best bit of advice if you hadn't thought it was good energy coming? What would you say do?
Okay.
Yes, as a priority.
Yes, yes. I would definitely sit down and if I didn't know about it, but just suddenly find out that, okay, it is so important what we are going through now, especially for the next 7 years. I would definitely sit down, because at the end of the day, karmically speaking, we are by ourselves. You know that in my reading, I always include the whole family, because we do not live by ourselves. We do have children and partners. So I always include everyone around to make sure that everyone is happy. But the thing is that at the end of the day, if we do speak karmically speaking, we are born by ourselves and we do die by ourselves, and we do have the responsibility of our own karma. We can help our children, teach them manners and tell them what is good to do in life or not, but at the end of the day they will also still have their own karma. We are not there all the time, most of the time, you know, to be there until the end of their lives. So they will at one stage have to decide, because we are responsible of the own path that we come and the own missions that we do have on this planet. I believe everyone is here for a reason. So I would kind of take that time to be by myself, and maybe sometimes in the front of a mirror. Sometimes it can be a little bit confronting, but people forget to have that self-conversation. They forget to give that self-love, especially women. We love everyone, we look after everyone, and we think that we are good persons if we do that, you know, which is true. It's awesome. But the first person we need to love and respect is ourselves, because exactly right, we are responsible of our own karma. We can't even, you know, ask someone else to do that for us. It is really linked with the self. So because of that Virgo aspect, and because of all that healing and all these aspects, I would really sit down, have a meditation, or look at yourself in the mirror, you know, and become your best friends, you know, wanting to look after your own self and saying, okay, if I'm my best friend, what kind of life do I want? Or write it down even, because it is a new moon. You can write a list down and you can say, okay, I'm planting the seeds from now on. I want my life to be like that. I want to create this kind of road for myself and for my family, because you can involve them. That's not an issue. But really being clear of what you want to build. We are in the precise side of the Virgo. So it is actually in action. It is in reality. When we look at star signs, we start with Aries, which is the self, and here into Virgo, which is the self-development. And from the Virgo, we go, in fact, to the outside world. So it's really having done all the self-development, knowing the life that you want, and then being able to make it happen, which is going to be linked with Jupiter being in Capricorn. I should more put it like that. Yeah, like that. So it's going to be linked with making it happen. And again, with that planet of opportunities and yeah, it's really linked with the opportunities that is going to be Uranus. It's really going to be taking us to that journey of the next 7 years. So it's really, really important, in fact, what's happening. So to be really honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, that's it, you know, that's the person you're going to be with until the end of your life. So better make that person, that inner child, and you know, whoever you are as a woman, making sure, or as a man, if there is a man listening to the replay later on. But it's very important to be, you know, honest with yourself and really saying, okay, this is where I want to go and this is what I want to create.
And so this one finishes around the end of the month, and then do we have another go at this?
So that's it. So let's go to where we are going to be into the year. So I'm going to give you some stars in 2020 and telling you when is going to be a really good time. So did I have anything else to say about this week? No, so that's fine. So this year, in fact, we are in the best time. So I'm going to give a little present today. Obviously, it's the stars of 2020. So just that is going to be gold, because if you do things when the stars are good, it just multiplies everything. A lot of people ask me, how do you make money? How do you travel the world and, you know, have your things paid off and do things like that? But that's because that's the only difference I do have, is that I do things at the right time. I haven't done special studies or anything like that, you know. Well, in astrology, yes, but I mean, I'm not, you know, a financial, you know, study. I haven't studied that, you know. I've always done things multiplying success or money because of the stars. So that also is an important thing to know, because even though I don't believe money is what's going to always make you happy, it does help. I'm saying that because I do work with billionaires and with extremely rich people, but happiness and purpose is the first step for me, because once you are on the right road and everything is well aligned, and then the money comes to you, not the other way around. Because I see a lot of people, you know, being extremely successful, but also feeling very lonely and isolated because of it, you know. So purpose and happiness is the first thing. But yes, if you want to be successful, and even, you know, everything around you being successful, it needs to be created at the right time. So the best stars are from now, obviously, until the 16th of October. This is when you can create magic. That's what we are going through now. And then after that, an awesome time is going to be between the 5th of December. Now I better get my notes on 2020. So between the 5th of December to the, where are this? Sorry, I'm just going to find. So yes, to the 5th of December to the 5th of February. We can push it a little bit up to the 10th of February, but not more than that, simply because after that we'll start again having some retrogrades. So the one that is for me the most negative is Mercury retrograde, because it's linked with contracts, it's linked with things like that, and that happens 3 times a year. But of course, I look at all the other planets, you know, when things are good and not good, Jupiter or Mars or Venus, because a lot of people think Venus is linked, you know, with beauty and love, which is true. She is linked with relationships. When Venus is retrograde, you know, that's when I get all the phone calls, people saying, oh, why did I marry that man? I mean, I'm not in love anymore, you know? And that is typical Venus retrograde. So, but Venus also holds the coins. She also has the purse with the coins. So she's also linked with success and abundance. So yes, so I'm going to give you the stars when it's going to be the best. So the second period of time that it's going to be really, really good is going to be between the 15th of March to the 10th of May. That is going to be an extremely good time for next year. So when I say that, I mean, it's a time to launch things. It's a time to do the things that are important, like if you have retreats coming up, if you have workshops coming up that are going to be important, if you want to launch your book or anything that is extremely important, do it during that time. And the third period of time that is going to be really, really good is going to be between the 15th of November to the 30th of January 2021. So if you have really important times, really important things to do and to launch, these are the best times of 2020 and 2021. Now, there's some other times that are going to be okay, depending on the work that you do. For example, a lot of people ask me, okay, so here we talked about, I'm going to give it to you the other way around, actually. I'm going to give you some other dates just for you to be a little bit clearer. Times, I'm going to give you the 3 times where it's a no-no, where it's don't sign any contracts, avoid to take off on holidays, and if you do, just be ready to know that the plans might be deleted. They're always deleted with Mercury retrograde, or just know that you might have things that are not really well organized. So make sure you have booked your car, because last time I had a friend, she couldn't just cancel her trip. So she had no car when she arrived, even though there were emails, anything that was electronic. She broke the three of them had their tablets broken down and everything. Typical Mercury retrograde, which links, electronics and stuff like that. So you don't want to be buying electronics. You don't want to be starting things. You try to avoid. You just try to finish things during a Mercury retrograde and try to finish your projects and go back to the past. It's really good if you go back to the past. Like, for example, if you were going, even traveling back home to a place with your loved ones, anything to do with RE, reassess, return, rest, reorganize is really, really good. So that is going to be between the 17th of February 2020 to the 10th of March 2020. So that is going to be a no-no. You do everything into the past and you reorganize your house. You can do all these kind of things, but no new things, please. And between the 18th of June to the 12th of July is again a no-no. And after that, the last one, between the 14th of October to the 3rd of 11 to the 3rd of November, you try not to do anything during that time new as well. You just finish your projects, and that will be really good because it's done for a reason. I don't see that as a bad time. I see it as a time to say, okay, stop. Let's finish things we already done. And then after that, the universe is extremely well organized. So there are times to rest and there are times to finish things and there are times to move forward and to plant the seeds and really go full speed, which is the time that we do have now until the 16th of October. And that's when you see me doing all these retreats and things like that, obviously at the end of the year or beginning of next year. But that's when I do things. So sometimes people are like, oh my God, you're going to do 3 retreats in a row, which is what I did last year. But yes, it was magical. I mean, Bali was magical, Belgium was magical, everything was just magical. So you want to keep on going because you're like, oh, I'm creating magic with the people, and the same, Belgium, they're waiting for me to come back because they had such a good time. They actually want to come back. So it's not even new clients. You already have the clients that you already do have that actually want to come back, which in business, it's linked with it's linked with good things because most of the time, now I'm going to talk about business as well because I help a lot of people, to take off with their business. But, 80% of your clients that I've already bought from you are going to rebuy from you, so if people are always happy, you are also going to multiply, your clients and your clients are your best publicity always. Word of mouth is what is going to be the best publicity you can ever have because if people have an awesome time, they are going to bring the other clients. By the time I did come back from my tour, the people who were in Bali were already selling the retreat to their friends. So I already had 8 people line up when it was not even commercialized yet to come to Bali because these are the best people to talk about, what they've been, and they say, okay, no, it was amazing. And so you've got all their friends coming up and lining up and wanting to be coming to the next one, so it's very important to do it when the stars are good, because in that case, you're always going to create what people are looking for.
Well, a bit like this morning, Muriel and I had a sound check and I hopped on Zoom and it decided that it needed to be reinstalled and then there was no sound and I was going into panic mode. So I had a phone call and Muriel's like, no, it's going to work out. The stars are all supporting this.
Yes.
It did.
Yes.
Yeah, no Mercury retrograde in sight.
No. Yes, oh yes, with Mercury retrograde, I always have everyone coming, even the psychics, they all come and line up because they can't even communicate. So that's when they all come and see me, I look after a lot of psychics that even go around the world, that are really big, famous people. And when they are retrogrades like that, they just come and see me because they're like, I can't even talk with the spirits anymore. They're not hearing me because it doesn't really matter. It's linked with communication. You have problems in communicating, that it is with the people in this world or people into the other side. It doesn't really matter. They still have a communication problem. So they've got problems doing their job, because they're not getting any messages or things are not working out. So yes, communication is very, very important. And during that time with retrogrades, it's just not going to get you anywhere. People don't even understand each other during that time. And the letters arrive late. And that's when you've got the emails that are not going through. Or suddenly you send a message to the wrong person. That is typical Mercury retrograde. And then it creates a drama because things are interpreted in a wrong way. I mean, things that you can see in Mercury retrograde is just unbelievable. I've got a little story, but that was my fridge. I've changed my fridge now, obviously, but my old fridge when I first arrived in Australia was linked with Mercury retrograde. I didn't even need to do the stars. As soon as we will be going towards Mercury retrograde, my fridge will be making some noise. And here I am saying, oh, that's it, Mercury retrograde. I'm going to change my fridge, which I knew I couldn't because you don't buy electronics with Mercury retrograde. So, okay, as soon as we're getting out, I'm going to change. And as soon as we will be forward, the fridge will stop making some noise. I kept that fridge forever. And because each time the stars were moving forwards, that fridge was absolutely awesome. And yeah, so this is just to say how electronics can feel that energy, you know. I mean, it's just like, okay, straight up, they just are going to have issues. They're not going to be working. I mean, it's not a good time, obviously, to be doing things or even buying a car, or even, you know, getting things that are important getting fixed, because it won't be done the right way. You know, there's going to be problems. So it's linked with all that as well, because yes, to choose a car, it's extremely important, because if you choose the right car, that car is going to take you everywhere you want, protecting you as well. And having the wrong car can actually create a problem and even be an issue, you know, with an accident or something like that. So all these things are things that I've tested myself. For example, when I first came in Australia, I was not sure if I was going to stay or not. So I thought, okay, well, that's a good time for me to try an experiment. So I went on Gumtree, trying to find a car extremely compatible with me and my children. I bought it very, very cheap. It was completely compatible, perfect match, and I bought it $500. Do you imagine the kind of car I got for $500? This car was amazing. We cried when we sold it. Because I actually sold it even more money than what I bought it. So yeah, it was good all along, because actually I did an extremely good buy. They were really in a hurry to sell it, but it was actually worth more than that. And yes, that car was just taking us everywhere, and we felt good. We even gave it a name, because we just were having a ball, you know, with my children into that car. So I've tried everything that I do say or teach. I've tried it, or I've seen it with friends of mine, you know, that were guinea pigs. Obviously now I've been doing astrology for many, many years as a professional. So I see that on all my clients, but I've tried everything, even, you know, buying or selling property and things like that at the right time, and being the right star sign, because that too is very important. So yes, it works on a lot of levels.
Well, I think you probably highlighted there for me that, you know, there's a portion of the year that I won't be going shopping.
Yes, no, that's it. You don't want to, because it's just a time where you're going to be disappointed. You don't want to be buying presents. So yes, that's very good that this year, actually this year is going to be, the best day of the year is going to be on the 27th of December. So I already know that Christmas and New Year's Eve is going to be absolutely awesome, because the most magical day of the year is going to be the 27th of December. So all around that period of time, holidays and family gathering is just going to be really, really nice. But yes, no, you don't want to be buying any pieces that are important, or things that are expensive, electronic or not. You don't want to be buying expensive things during that time, because you'll be disappointed. They won't be lasting, or at one stage when we move forwards, you can say, oh, why did I buy that piece? You know, it just doesn't go well with my wardrobe, or whatever it is. It's just not a good time. Definitely not a good time.
Well, I think my girlfriend's getting married around that date, so I'll need to pass on the fact that she's chosen the magic number.
Yes. So no, if she's married, if she's getting married, it was already something decided. It's already a relationship that has been done. But actually, I always juggle with things like that, you know, saying, okay, you know, just make sure that if you are committing, or if you're making sure that this is what you want, that you do it on a new moon, you know, or bring some really good aspects, because you can also, you know, sometimes, but obviously the relationship started. So it's just the conclusion. It's not something new. It's something that is concluded. But maybe even with the presents, you can do the presents before and buy them before, you know, when the stars are good. And even for them, you know, if they do, I don't know, sometimes they do things with the money. Well, it's the same. They just keep the money until the stars move forwards, and then they buy whatever they want after, you know, or go on a trip, you know, after, when the stars move forwards. I always try to say, you know, juggle with the stars to make sure you have the best time, you know.
So Muriel, you've given us 3 periods of good time.
Yes.
You've given us the 3 periods of times where you need to finish your projects. Yes. And, you know, stop. Yes. And a couple of no-nos during that time.
Yes.
And I guess, you know, most people when they're doing their charts, they're quite individual. And
Yes.
I know when I've had my chart done with you, it was very personalized, very individual. And
Yes.
it was wonderful to almost be that selfish and only focus legitimately on myself. But
Yes.
because we've got a group of women here, we're trying to keep the information as broad as possible.
Yes.
Um,
Yes,
so
no, very important what you are saying, because exactly right. So for example, the stars for the moment are awesome in general because of all the aspects in Virgo. But let's say someone had Saturn in Virgo. In that case, we need to discuss it a little bit further. It's quite important to know exactly all the aspects, because I give them in general. And even after that, when the people are my clients, you know, I always give them in general saying, okay, this month is what is going to happen. And as I was saying, you know, the times are going to be good and you see really good things happening into the world, or bad things when the stars are bad, and it's general. But if you are going to want to launch a business, you need to do it when everything is right. And you want that business to be working for you and not you working for the business, which is completely different. Or you want to be committing to a relationship when the times are really good and not when there is going to be a problem. So that's where you need to do something personal. You need to have your own chart done. Even the same, I'm launching now a program. I'm doing the last interviews today, because obviously I'm going to use the stars of this week to launch and to start with my clients now. Because a lot of people, I was doing their readings and I was saying, okay, you know, instead of being a teacher, which, you know, I have a lot of people at one stage, they come and see me and say, I'm not living the life that I should be living. There's something wrong. I've been a teacher all my life because all my parents and grandparents were teachers, but that's not my thing. I want to be, you know, doing something else. And then I look into their charts and I can see even the elements of luck, their purpose and the elements of luck. I'm thinking about a man in particular when I'm saying that. And he was made to be a landscaper. And he's like, yes, that's what I've always loved. I love being in my garden. I love creating. I love designing. But sometimes it's really hard to leave a mortgage, 2 kids and stuff like that and say, oh, I'm just going to be doing something completely new and, you know, whatever, you know, I'm just jumping and because it's my purpose. You actually have steps to make it happen. And that was really bothering me, because I was telling all my clients, you should be doing this and that, but not everyone had the capacity to make it happen. So they were still struggling, saying, oh, it's hard because of this or that. And because that I can help with the steps in business, or I can help with the elements of luck or their purpose when it's a good time to do things. Then I created a program. So I'm launching that this week, because we are all launching new things, you know, or thinking of doing so when the stars are good. So yes, finally, and that is again the same thing as my reading. It's really tailor-made, because absolutely everyone is different. I've got twins that just have 7 minutes difference between the two of them. They are completely different. One is more rising Virgo, very organized, very precise, you know, and the other one is an artist, more next to the Libra. You know, she's all open to people and talking and artistic and reading all this kind of solfege with the music and, you know, completely different. So 7 minutes is enough to be completely different, even though it's at the same place, you know, the same day, obviously. So that's just to show the impact of the stars and how precise it is. Like, it is precise to the minutes, you know. The aspects will always be different. And again, what is true today is not true tomorrow. We do have certain aspects at a certain time. It's always evolving. So it's important to follow that up. That is also why I give the weekly updates for free onto my group or now my personal profile, because I want people to keep, you know, on track, you know, with what's happening, because it's always moving and changing. So we say whatever happens, you know, below, whatever happens in the stars will happen below, because it's always evolving, always changing.
So, Muriel, we're getting to the last couple of minutes of our session, and some
Yes.
questions are starting to come in.
Yes.
And we've got the first question is from Angie. Thank you, Angie. Angie wants to know, are they able to contact you for a chart or guidance? Are you still doing one-on-one sessions?
So
I know that things had become too
yes,
busy.
Yes, no, I'm still going to take some this year. And yes, I am going to now go towards more one-to-many. I've started to accept the TV shows, the radio shows and all that. It took me a while. I just wanted to help as many people as I could and doing the charts. And I also wanted word of mouth, you know, having solved every kind of situations and having my clients saying, oh yes, I had that issue and Muriel solved it. So I wanted to have all that. But yes, I'm going to be doing more of that, more retreats where I can really reset people, because that's what also happens. And it's not just about, having a good time and all that. There's a lot of things happening. We clean the cells of people, and we do a lot of things, and we reset people and I give the stars much ahead to really make sure that all my clients are going to get where they want. But yes, I'm still taking some clients for this year. And then after that, I will kind of slow down to 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the max per week. But for the moment, I was doing 3 or 4 a day, So
and that, I mean, 3 or 4 a day, 3 or 4 a day with you overgive. And, I know that, I was one of those people that over received from you. And I think my session went for 2 hours and 22 minutes, which is my lucky number, 222. But yeah, so I can see why, you can't keep that up. Muriel, there's another question here from Kylie. She wants to know, do you need to know your exact birth time? And what happens if you don't know it?
So I've done astrology long enough. So I actually go backwards. So I usually ask 2 or 3 events. Sometimes it can be the mother, the parents' dates, what I always ask around anyway, the family around, or the kids, or events like graduations and things like that. And I actually go backwards until it clicks. And then I can find the rising. So I do that quite often because a lot of people didn't have their times. Now hospitals do it all the time because of astrology. Yeah, they actually write also the exact time because it was, getting more and more important as well. But in the older days, they never used to do it, or sometimes they would even around the hour, they would say, 12:30, even if it was, 12:20, they used to just round things. So I always work on that. And that's where my psychic comes in. I go backwards until it clicks because, yes, my readings, as you were saying, I don't count the hours. My work is done when I know that I've put someone in sync. So it can be depending on the time that I need to spend with the person, but until it's finished, until it's done, until I've said everything that I needed to say, I will keep on going. Because for me, again, it's a purpose. It's not just a job. I need to have done what I've got to do. And once I know when the person is in sync, so it's important.
So I might we've got a few more minutes. If anyone wants to ask any questions, I would invite you to pop it into the chat box now so we can read the question out and Muriel can answer it. And if there's no more questions, Muriel might be able to just sort of say, tell, how do people contact you if they do want to get involved? If they miss out on a one-on-one, I think there's still space in your retreat
Yes.
in Noumea.
Yes.
And I guess, are you running workshops?
Yes, so I'm actually organizing, because the stars are good, I'm actually organizing this week the workshops coming up into the year. I usually do it in the year ahead, when the stars are good. But this year I wanted to do it with that new moon in particular. So I'm actually going to start launching them all. So it's going to go obviously up to 2020. I'm not sure it's going to mark them, and I'm going to do them only when the stars are good as well. I won't have time to do that many, but I am going to do at least 2 or 3 this year, and then after that I will be planning all next year with half-day workshop, and I'm going to be speaking each time of different things. So I've done a lot already all those last years. Usually it's about teaching how the stars work, or how you can do a karmic reading as well, and how the elements work, how I actually do readings myself as well. So it gives you at least some information on that. I also have a book coming out that will explain all that. So I'm trying to finish it. So to make sure it does come out at the end of the year when the stars are going to be good for Christmas. It needs to be finished. I wanted to do it quite a while ago, but it just went booming all around the world at the same time. So, and I thought the people were more important to answer to the clients were more important, but now the book needs to come out. It has been paid and organized a while ago, so it really needs to be out now. So for the end of the year would be perfect. But yes, workshops, I teach a lot, and again, give as much as I can information.
Caroline's asking what is the best group on Facebook so that she can join that.
Yes, so otherwise it's or Muriel Braun, my personal profile, but the group is called Astrolife, Be in Sync with the Universe. And you just ask to join there and you will see all the people of my group. And yes, so also Instagram, yeah, almost all the supports I am on, so you can just ask for Muriel Braun and you should find me. But the group is quite good because I always put advice. Obviously there's team days, so for example, you know, today saying yes, Monday motivation, you cannot get better than this week, you know, go for it, and things like that, you know. And they can advertise as well. On Wednesdays we've got advertising day, so whatever people are doing, it's good because we are creating that community as well. You know, it will take a village to make this a nice place. You know, we do have, unfortunately, you know, negativity, pollution, and terrorists, or you know, things like that that are there. You know, so it will take all of us to make that planet a better place, and to make sure that we can look after people and, you know, do that best job that we can to make this place nice and live a better world for our children as well.
Thank you so much, Muriel. I am very grateful for your time today. I'm always grateful for your insights and your generous sharing of information. So Muriel's Facebook group is Astrolife, all one word, ASTROLIFE, Astrolife, Be in Sync with the Universe. So hop on Facebook and find her there and connect with her there. And Kylie's just said thank you so much for a wonderful session. Angie's had to leave for an appointment. So we're going to wrap it up there, and I'm incredibly grateful for all of you who have managed to make it live today. I know that Mondays are really tight, and so, you know, the live component is fairly small, and then it goes out to a much larger group of people after this. So thank you for your time, Muriel. Thank you for everyone who has bared witness to all the wonderful information that Muriel's brought through today. May you have a glorious week. May you bathe in all the wonderful energy, and may it be fruitful for you, and you can springboard from here for your next 7 years of wonderful living.
Yes. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you. Have an awesome week.
Thank you very much, Muriel. Bye-bye.
Bye, Taryn. Bye.